It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker of the day. Stanley Edward Maszczak, he/they, is a multi-passionate speaker, facilitator, writer, and transpersonal coach. His work has been greatly impacted by his long journey out of destructive experiences in fundamentalist religion, acceptance of his gay and gender nonconforming identity, and by his military service. Stanley recently retired from the U.S. military after more than 21 years in the Army Reserve, where they were mobilized several times for stateside duty, overseas, and combat zone tours beginning on 9/11 and completing in 2022. They served in the military police, public affairs, broadcast journalism, and as a military equal opportunity advisor and organizational climate specialist. Stanley holds a Bachelor of Arts in American Studies from Pace University in New York, is an ordained metaphysical practitioner through the International Metaphysical Ministry, and has trained in many other areas, including coaching, equal opportunity practice, meditation, dispute resolution, Akashic records, quantum human design, and core gifts, to name a few. Stanley currently serves as the newsletter editor and president of the board of directors for the Metaphysical Chapel of Life. He resides in Washington, D.C. with his partner, Shreyas, and their recently adopted Great Dane, Harry.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Good to see you. I pray that this talk today is a meaningful and encouraging collaboration between self, soul, source, and all that you have and are contributing to our collective consciousness this morning. And may you receive what your soul is requesting today. This morning, I'm going to open by reading a short poem by Khalil Gibran. I'll read it twice, and I invite you to close your eyes or not, whatever's comfortable for you, and just listen for the wisdom that might uniquely want to meet you where you are this morning. The poem is called The Shadow by Khalil Gibran. Upon a June day, the grass said to the shadow of an elm tree, "You move to right and left over often, and you disturb my peace." And the shadow answered and said, "Not I, not I. Look skyward. There is a tree that moves in the wind to the east and to the west, between the sun and the earth." And the grass looked up and for the first time beheld the tree. And it said in its heart, "Why, behold, there is a larger grass than myself." And the grass was silent. I'll read it once more. Upon a June day, the grass said to the shadow of an elm tree, "You move to right and left over often, and you disturb my peace." And the shadow answered and said, "Not I, not I. Look skyward. There is a tree that moves in the wind to the east and to the west, between the sun and the earth." And the grass looked up and for the first time beheld the tree. And it said in its heart, "Why, behold, there is a larger grass than myself." And the grass was silent. I'm struck by the spectrum of characters in this poem and the so many interpretations and gold available to us. The grass, so concerned with another's shadow and how it was impacting them, that they couldn't see the bigger picture, the greatness and potential in the world around them. The shadow, existing, receiving the blame, and pointing the accuser to the cause of their disturbance. The tree, so large and so mighty in comparison to the grass, fully in its glory and its natural state, just being a tree, oblivious to the conversation below. It didn't need to be aware of the conversation or even be a part of it in any way. The tree just needed to be the tree. In its position, rooted in the earth and stretching up to the sky, trunk and branches meeting the air between the sun and the earth, unconcerned with the conversation below, just being the tree. The grass pointed in the new direction skyward, still rooted in the earth, still experiencing the shadow in the same manner, once described as a disturbance to their peace, but now taking on new meaning, with the grass's gaze now turned in a new direction, first starting out kind of down and immediately around the grass, listening to the words of the shadow speak back to it, hearing its direction to look more broadly skyward, noticing for the first time the existence of a great elm tree as the one casting that shadow, seeing this great elm tree as a grass larger than myself. The grass then moved to silence. And what we, as the readers or the hearers of the poem, see or experience in that silence is up to us. Whether the us is the readers and the hearers of the poem, the us as the grass, us as the shadow, or the tree, or the earth, or the sun, or even finding ourselves in the breeze in the poem. This newfound silence, where there once was possibly the energy of irritation or inconvenience or misplaced blame, or maybe even a pleading outburst after holding it in so long, why do you keep disturbing my peace? Now replaced by silence. The silence of surprise, the silence maybe of confusion, the silence of questioning or rethinking, the silence of curiosity, creating emotional waves as the implications start to light up the mental and spiritual landscape, like stars being born all around them, but still rooted in that same earth as before. The grass never moved from the earth it was rooted in. It just changed the direction it was looking. The silence of new and expansive awareness. The silence of awe and wonder at the tree. Or maybe the awe and wonder at realizing the tree had always been there and it had never noticed. The silence of reverence, of honor, of tearful joy filling that space within their being that can only be filled by that majestic, all-encompassing love of our infinitely creative source. Before I read the poem one last time in closing, I want to leave you with this encouragement and blessing for today. May you hear the truth-telling voice of the shadow. May you receive the reminders to shift your gaze. May you always create space for the silence. This is The Shadow by Khalil Gibran. Upon a June day, the grass said to the shadow of an elm tree, "You move to the right and to the left over often, and you disturb my peace." And the shadow answered and said, "Not I, not I. Look skyward. There is a tree that moves in the wind to the east and to the west, between the sun and the earth." And the grass looked up and for the first time beheld the tree. And it said in its heart, "Why, behold, there is a larger grass than myself." And the grass was silent.